What's up, you guys? I am gonna try to make this video as I do this look. I picked a fairly simple look that is inspired by this painting that my friend sent to me that she said reminded her, what am I trying to say? That she said that painting, she said that this look that I did reminded her of this painting. This is probably gonna be a loaded topic. I have not written anything down. The idea of being humble. It's like something in our society where it's so glorified. You know, it's like humility, being humble. You only hear positive things about it, how it's like, it's such an honorable thing. Someone that's not arrogant and da-da-da. You can be humble in many different kinds of ways. You know, you could be someone that's just humble where you're like humble enough to be able to admit when you're wrong. Humble enough to be able to apologize. And as in someone that just doesn't brag about like the things that you're good at, the things that you do, how much money you have. And like, yes, being humble, I think can be a good thing. And it is a very honorable thing, you know? It's like, we hear this thing where it's like you're in a room with someone who's like a celebrity or like, what's that actor from The Matrix? He's always riding the subway and he's always so kind and he's so humble and he doesn't like flash his status. And like, I get it. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm already getting flashbacks to that movie with Jim Carrey where he like has tape all over his face. You guys know what I'm talking about? Just like anything, too much of something I think can be a bad thing. I feel like sometimes we praise so much being humble, being the this is really good. Can you take me seriously? To the point where we've kind of ignored the other side of this conversation, that you can be too humble. Bitch, that's clean. Oh my god. Ow. Because, you know, social media, and especially TikTok, like after we had the whole COVID thing and people were making some cringe-ass TikToks, I'm not even gonna lie, like even myself, I have gone back recently and like put a bunch of them in private because I was fucking embarrassed. But now with social media, there is the opposite, where there are people that aren't humble enough. You know, we see a lot of that with influencers, where like they need to be humbled. Even celebrities, you know, that let the fame get to their head. I think there is a difference that is really important for people to know. Confident and being arrogant. One comes from self-knowing, self-love, authenticity, and the other comes from insecurity or can have an ulterior motive. And I think you can tell the difference in both by their hearts. And that's not always going to be obvious, but like at the end of the day, you can tell when someone's a good person and when someone's not, when someone's arrogant versus somebody that just genuinely knows who they are, comfortable with who they are, doesn't give a shit about other people's opinion. There's a big difference of that. A lot of the time, we have so much this conversation of like, oh, you gotta be humble, you gotta be humble, you gotta be humble, that it started making people afraid to maybe love themselves or like be able to be proud of themselves and be themselves, you know, to the point that it like keeps them in a shell. Oh my god, bitch, don't do that to me. It drives me honestly crazy when insecure people feel the need to push humbleness on other people so that their triggers don't get ignited. Let's break that down. When we are in a group, it is so acceptable in society for us to walk up to a group, walk up to our friends, say hi to our friends and be like, oh, I feel so bloated today. Oh, I feel so ugly today. Oh, I feel like shit today. And it's like, oh, girl, same. Or like, girl, no, you don't. No, it's okay. Da 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 da. And then the moment we go, I feel hot today. I feel so good today. I look my best self today. All of a sudden, it's like, oh, this bitch is not humble. Like, why? Why? Because when somebody is so proud of themselves and doing so well and feeling so good about themselves, it ignites something in you because you don't feel that way about yourself and now it makes you feel less than. It reflects to you that you don't have that like self-love for yourself. Like why? Why is that normalized? And when we break that down a little bit further, why shouldn't we be celebrating when people do feel good about themselves? And like I say in every single one of my videos, let's use some discernment, okay? This is why I broke down the thing that the arrogance at first, that like self-confidence can start going into the realm of arrogance and like thinking that they're better than others. You know, it comes off like a little bit narcissistic and it's coming from an insecure place, a place from needing to prove themselves, a place from needing to get validation. That is different than somebody who is confident in themselves, who values themselves, who sees themselves for what they really are and is authentic without needing validation, without needing approval of anybody else, and isn't afraid to speak what they know about themselves. And so if you guys have been following me, I sound like a broken record at this point, where the videos I've been making have been real life lessons that I've been learning. And if you've been following along in the journey, you've probably seen me go through these really big lessons. And I can honestly say in this year, like you would not recognize me. I don't keep the same friends around. I've cut off a lot of people, a lot of habits, because I am such a different person. I am in such a strong state of mind, and I love myself so fucking much, and I know who I am so much, to the most that I can, to where my consciousness is right now. I've never known my purpose more, and I'm so confident in that. And I don't say that from a place from needing to prove myself, but simply for the fact that I know that that is my truth. And if you watching this cannot feel happy for me, cannot celebrate with me, truthfully, that has nothing to do with me and everything to do with you. If you follow me on my other social media, especially Instagram, on my stories, I act stupid on my stories sometimes. I dance on my stories all the time. I'm not afraid to be myself and be judged and be criticized for being conceited, because I truthfully, if I gave a shit, do you think I would be posting those things in the first place? I would just be hiding. When you find yourself in your life and your personality is like bah and out, you're not gonna be everybody's cup of tea, especially people who are not self-aware, people who are like in secret competition with you. They're gonna have a problem with you. But at what point are we gonna just finally acknowledge the fact that somebody who is in their power, somebody who is able to say, I know these are my strengths and I'm gonna hone in on them, push on them, and I'm gonna use them to push me further in life? Why is that something that gets labeled as conceited right away? I talk about this in my other videos, right? Just because you get triggered about shit doesn't mean that like you're a bad person. The difference is on people that are aware enough, look at those triggers and not judge the person, but more so see, why am I getting triggered? I saw a TikTok the other day where someone was like, I was looking at this picture of myself and I realized like I love my jawline. Somebody commented and was like, you should really be a little bit more humble. Like that is a really ugly thing to say. Like that makes no fucking sense. Why can't this person just feel good about themselves and say it out loud? Let's not forget that I'm saying being humble, having humility is beautiful, but it comes to a point where if being humble to you means that you are hiding yourself, if it's hindering your potential, that's a problem. That's not you being humble anymore. That's just you being insecure. And you know what, dude? If you are in a group of friends where you cannot be your true self and you cannot love yourself and give yourself compliments, or because the people around you are gonna shit on you, discernment, you know, when it's not coming from a place of needing validation and all that, but genuinely just like believing in yourself and wanting to love yourself, you need new friends. You know what, bro? I need to finish this look off camera. I'll be back. This is the look. I haven't popped out these colored lashes in a minute. Sometimes, yeah, you'll meet someone who might be a little bit too much, you know, where you might think like, oh, they're just being a little too cocky or too arrogant. But the thing is, being someone that went from being somebody that is hate myself so much, self-deprecating, to somebody that loves myself so much and knows who I am, you'll see when people go through this phase of like learning to love themselves and being more confident, maybe they might come off a little more cocky, maybe they might come off a little bit too much. But the thing is, that is the process of healing in life. Just let them be. Like, why does it bother you? It doesn't do anything to you. That need to like, oh, I want to humble you and I want to bring you down is something that is, you just need to prove yourself. And if they're not harming anyone, why does that matter? Let them figure it out themselves. I find that in life when you're healing, you go from one spectrum to the end and then you find this medium in the middle, but like, that's not your job to do. If it's not bothering anybody, if it's not doing anything to anybody, it shouldn't bother you unless it's bringing up something for you to look at. In your day-to-day, everyday people, most are a little bit too humble. Why shouldn't you be proud of what you got? And I see this in myself. Like when I am feeling insecure, when I was a very, very insecure person, I would see other people that are very confident, you know, and sometimes even today, like I see some things where in my opinion, I'm like, I wouldn't personally talk about myself like that, but good for you. And I just kind of swipe away. Back then, and I would see those and be like, oh, like she's so full of herself or he's so full of himself. Now, because I know my strengths, because I know my gifts and what areas in myself I can shine authentically in, I don't feel like I need to be in competition with other people that are shining just as bright or even brighter, because I know my own strengths and I know my own weaknesses. They have their own strengths and they have their own weaknesses. Why are we all living in competition? You should be your number one advocate. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think.